Yesterday, the Louisiana Department of Education released the state numbers for LEAP testing scores for the previous school year. Of course, like every year, there were improvements in some areas and declines in others. But as far as Lafayette Parish goes, there seems to be some good news for the district as a whole. In a press release from the Lafayette Parish School System Central Office yesterday, it says that the school system showed strong gains as far as LEAP testing goes. And on the phone with us today, we have Mr. Tom Spencer, the Director of Accountability for the Lafayette Parish School District. And Mr. Spencer, those strong gains that are listed, of course, they are feathers in the caps of the students, the teachers, and the staff throughout the district. Can you please elaborate a bit on what those strong gains mean?
We improved in almost every subject. I'm talking the district as a whole. I'm not talking about individual schools here. Across the board, we made improvement. When you look at subgroups, which is in the state released some subgroup information for the larger subgroups, that would be African American, economically disadvantaged. That used to be called free-reduced lunch, but it's done differently now.
Right.
English language learners and students with disabilities, and we would call that special ed normally. All of those subgroups improved when you look at the overall test results, kind of roll all the subjects into one set of numbers.
Right. Fantastic. That's good news for the parish, I assume. And, as far as the state goes, we heard from Superintendent Dr. John White about some of the poorer performing schools, and not necessarily just in Lafayette, in the Lafayette Parish District, but across the state. There seems to be a drop in performance, if you will, for some of those disadvantaged students. Do you see any mandates coming down from the state anytime soon that would be a challenge to Lafayette Parish as far as getting those done?
We have a substantial grant using federal dollars to address those schools. We have put some extra resources in them the past couple of years with some personnel hired to kind of oversee and help the schools out. With the grant thrown in on top of it, they've done some major changes in those. We call those the emerging schools. And so we have great hopes that the things we're putting in place are going to cause their scores to come on up. If I'm not mistaken, I think Alice Boucher did better. They showed some improvement, and I think Karen Crow Heights also showed some improvement. So there's some improvement going on there.
Right.
We didn't have any big declines with any of those particular schools. Now, we did have a handful of schools that did show some big declines. There were 3 of them. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I'd say Paulboro would be one. S.J. Montgomery would be another that saw more decline than we wanted, and then J.W. Falk, which is one of those emerging schools.
Sure.
We also know that due to some of the rezoning, they had a lot of new students on their campuses, kids who weren't there the previous year.
Right.
Anytime you have that, anytime you have movement from one school to another, whether it's the normal matriculation of a 5th grader going to 6th grade at a different school or whatnot, you tend to have a drop in performance among those students because it takes a lot of mental effort to learn the new culture, the new rules, the new discipline,
sure,
the new teachers, learning new people and whatnot. So we're going to attribute a little bit of the drop of those 3 schools to the fact that they had some new students that were assigned there due to the rezoning. And we actually heard from folks at the schools all year long that it actually was a problem for the administrators and the teachers with so many new kids on those campuses. We also saw Myrtle Place make just tremendous growth for the district. There had to be some exceptional instruction going on there, but part of the growth can be attributed to the fact that they're making the transition from a neighborhood school with a French immersion program housed there to a 100% French immersion school. So the student population is changing at Myrtle, and that's going to be at least part of the reason why its scores went up, but certainly not all of the reason.
And another point of positivity that I can see with the scores is, as far as our parish high schools go, the percentages of those students who scored overall mastery or above, none of them are below 50%, which is higher than the state average of 38%. So that seems to be a point of optimism.
Yes, yes, and those tests are also graduation requirements for those kids.
Correct.
Okay, so they're motivated. They're motivated a little bit differently than your elementary, middle school kids are to do well. Now, they don't have to do great in algebra and in geometry, but they do have to score above a minimum score in each of those. So, and the other thing is there's a new scale on most of those high school tests. Algebra 1, geometry, there's a new English test. This is the first year English 1 has been administered, and English 2. Those 4 tests are new tests. There used to be 4 achievement levels. There are now 5 achievement levels. So we expected some of the percentages to shift around. We're very pleased that the shift seems to be up, and we're hoping we can attribute that to better instruction and better performance as opposed to simply the system changing.
Excellent. And those changes to the testing, I assume, are from the Louisiana Department of Education changes that they made within the past year or so, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Brand new test this year.
Excellent.